Women's health is not just about our uteruses or our breasts, but we are fundamentally different from men and deserve unique attention. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Comen. I'm a medical oncologist specializing in breast cancer in New York City. And I'm also a medical historian. In my years of taking care of women, I've been really privy to heartbreaking stories of shame, blame, embarrassment about women's bodies, stories that are far beyond their experience with cancer, but really speak to the legacy of, I think, neglecting women's health historically. If you look at heart disease is the #1 killer of women to this day. But the historical legacy of that, including when I was in medical school, was that women's presentation of their heart disease was atypical. If we're greater than 50% of the population and we're dying predominantly from heart disease, that shouldn't be termed atypical. And there's so much throughout history about the description of heart disease as being worrisome in a man and neurotic and hysterical in a woman. In fact, so much so that Sir William Osler, one of the famous founding fathers of modern medicine, essentially said that chest pain in a woman was hysterical or neurotic, and women don't die from it. Well, we are dying in droves, and in many cases, we're missing heart attack symptoms in women.
We're here today for the signing of S1, the National Institute of Health Revitalization Act.
If you look at medical history in more recent years, it wasn't until 1993 that women were even required to be included in NIH-funded clinical trials. So that means that some of the most important landmark studies for heart disease or for aspirin or cholesterol drugs were predominantly done in men. And then the assumption is, well, they were done in men, so let's just dose them for women. And of course, it doesn't work that way. Even when I was in medical school, when I took my anatomy classes, we would learn about the heart in a male form. And then the only time, or really the few times that you saw a female form, was just to describe our reproductive or our breasts, right? But when you actually study the female form, we are significantly different from men in a whole host of other ways, whether it's the angle of our hips to our knees and how that relates to ACL injuries, whether it's our GI system and how that relates to other reproductive organs that our GI system has to navigate, or our thoracic cavity that may be different because when we're pregnant, for example, and our lung capacity. There's so many different ways that our bodies change over time that medicine really has to catch up with how to study, how to image, and how to diagnose. There's a lot of people chasing the concept of wellness right now, like 10 steps to wellness, and here's how you're going to feel better. My point about talking about the rise of medical science and the fragmentation of the body is when we lost women along the way. And women need to be heard. We have neglected them and ignored their symptoms and invalidated their medical experience. And when that happens, women naturally are looking for other sources to help them, whether it's the internet, whether it's a supplement store, whether it's an ad in, the 1950s. Your doctor doesn't hear you, but I do. Your doctor's not listening to you, but I do. And here's these salts that you should buy that will make you look more beautiful and therefore more attractive to your man. This is a constant narrative that we see throughout recent medical history because women want help and they had the agency and the intelligence to look for it, but not necessarily the right environment to seek it. First, trust your gut and find a doctor that you trust. And if you don't like your doctor, find another one, because sometimes it's really hard to navigate these situations where you feel like you don't have a trusting system and trusting communication dynamic. I also say that if you're anxious about a diagnosis or you have something new going on, or you feel like you're just going to have a hard time advocating for yourself, bring a friend with you, bring a family member. Always come prepared with questions if you can. Find out also how your medical team works. Is there a nurse? Is there a nurse practitioner? And how will information be communicated with you? Is there a portal system? Is a nurse going to call you? Is the nurse practitioner going to call you? Is the doctor going to call you? Have some understanding and control over how you're going to receive information. I get a lot of questions about, well, there are so many more women in medical school. Isn't that the answer? And I think that's a really reductionist view of our healthcare system, because there are phenomenal men historically who have done beautiful work to help women, and there are phenomenal caregivers today. I think what I'm really trying to show is how we have fragmented the body, how we have lost women along the way, how we have focused on the reference male to study and neglected really listening to women and what their symptoms may be. And so I think the path forward is not necessarily a numbers game, but where we can honor some of the feminine spirit that men and women can contribute and imbue our healthcare system with that empathic, nurturing spirit that so many of us are missing. My hope is if after reading this book, maybe you could tell yourself a new story, one that slightly honors your gut more, that maybe empowers you more, that maybe when you go to the doctor, you can say, I've always wanted to ask this, but I've been too afraid to. Or when you're really concerned about a symptom and something doesn't feel right, that you advocate for yourself and tell a new story that's more empowered about your body moving forward.